Josh, welcome. How much of that did you hear?
I caught the tail end of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait. The license plate is true?
I think so. Who told me that?
Josh.
Yeah, Josh. Josh.
To the best of my knowledge, that is true.
Okay. So.
Bossy.
We're rolling.
Calling out tap people. This is a real thing. Real thing.
None of you have the balls to stop this. Stop this.
I've got plenty of time. I have nothing else going on today.
We're in the Wedge neighborhood right now.
Okay, we're back on the Wedge Live podcast. I'm your host, John Edwards, and we're doing a caucus wrap-up episode, harrowing caucus stories with Taylor Darlene, Jason Garcia. Jason, you and I had Precinct 10-1 covered, both of us there. Maybe the most eventful caucus night in the whole city happened in Precinct 10-1.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And Taylor, you had Ward 7 covered. Do you want to give your precinct, or would that be too personal?
7-5.
Precinct 7-5 in Loring Park.
7-5. Yep. South Loring.
What's the news out of Ward 7?
Kind of bleak for Emily Koski on the city side. That one kind of shocked me. And then what was really cool to see was that Fate had definitely turned out a lot of younger DSA renter types that I had never seen before in my precinct. So we had a lot of the same old guard, but a lot of much younger people. So that was good. Out of 7, worried about Katie Cashman in the face of Elizabeth Schaefer. That's my big takeaway from all the caucuses.
Yeah, was it Kenwood where Schaefer just had a clean sweep?
Every single delegate. Paula may have gotten one or two, but not a single one for Cashman. Yep. And that was convened by Tom Hoke. So a lot of...
So my advice to people who are listening, I think I still have my battlegrounds as 5, 7, 8. Maybe 10 is more competitive than I thought it was going to be. But if you're thinking about where you want to target your volunteer time, your money, your energy this election year, give Katie Cashman a look in Ward 7. Also 5 and 8, maybe. Those are both open seats. And 10 looking a little more competitive than I expected. But I still think Aisha Chogtai is likely to win that. But this is why we have elections, Jason, right? It's never over until we have the vote.
Yeah, it's very tempting to look at the caucuses since there's so much buildup to them, and everyone has a lot of energy around elections right now following last year's presidential election. I think there's some desire to want to take what happened on caucus night and make that a broad picture of city politics, which, as we all know, isn't usually the case. It's still very early in the process. I think Taylor's line was that caucuses are sickos, where, the people who are already pretty much most engaged and things like that. So when it gets closer to the generals, we'll have a better picture of who's doing well, who's not, and things like that.
No, we won't. We won't have any idea. So I always go into every city election all the way up until the day before the election. I have no idea how anything is going to turn out. I don't think we will get any clearer picture about the city election as we get closer to election day.
There could be other people who jump in, and there could certainly be people who drop out. So
yeah, but those people will be terrible. Anyone who gets in this late is not a serious candidate, right?
Sure. But I wouldn't put it past some of the PACs that we've seen emerge to try to find other further right more conservative candidates to try to support to make Jacob Fry look more moderate.
You think that would help him?
I do. They're kind of shaping it up to be like moderates versus socialists. And I think if he can also then point to people who are more conservative, people with more name recognition than Laverne Turner, he might be able to more credibly position himself as a moderate.
You could make the argument, well, if you had someone to his right, like a Tom Hoke style candidate, just like hitting him over the head on whether it was police or crime or parking in Uptown, it might make some of his fans think, well, actually, he's been a failure for me, too. I mean, maybe they just rank that candidate 1 and Fry 2nd. Maybe it doesn't make a difference at all. But I think having someone, maybe it's helpful to have someone from his right point out that, yeah, he's been a failed mayor.
Maybe. I just think he is going to, much like in 2021, where he will win or lose will be on the 2nd and 3rd place votes. I don't think he's in a position where he'll win just on the strength of his 1st place votes. So he needs people to be ranking him 2nd and 3rd to stay in the process.
So Taylor, in Precinct 10-1, where Jason and I were, we saw We Love Minneapolis shirts. We saw there was a We Love Minneapolis table. I heard things like that from other precincts around the city too. Like they are putting their $600,000 that they're spending to boost the mayor and his allied council candidates to get them elected. They're putting that money to work. Did you see anything in your precinct?
Yeah, we had the table too, and the volunteers, and the people wearing the stickers, and one of them in my precinct signed up to be like a teller, and she had like the little button on, and yeah, big. Not. I don't think they're as big of a presence in 7 as they are in 10. From what I've heard, that's like the focus where most of the money, most of the organizers are going.
Why is that? Why would they focus on 10?
Maybe because it's the council vice president they'd be taking out. I don't know. For some reason, that's their number one target.
So I think Lydia Millard is probably going to work harder than previous, like Bruce Dacus in 2023. I don't think I think he just thought he would show up with all of his money and the developer money supporting him and just win. And some of these candidates get stuck in a bubble. I think Lydia Millard will actually work, and she is more personable. She is a more plausible candidate than Bruce Dacus was. I call him the Fallout Ghoul. I think she'll do better in 10 than we've seen historically.
And I think part of why they are, why We Love Minneapolis and all of Minneapolis is targeting Ward 10 is, I think they certainly feel like Elizabeth Schaefer needs less help to unseat the incumbent. But also I think having Aisha Chugtai, who has also been dual endorsed by the DSA in the past, is something that really galls them, and that's going to be a focus in this election, is trying to hang the DSA title on candidates, whether they have those connections or not, but especially the people who do have those connections.
I don't think they're going to take 7 for granted. Anytime you're going up against an incumbent, that's going to be tough. So I would imagine they will be putting a lot of PAC money into 7 too.
My harrowing personal story, also speaking of all of Minneapolis and We Love Minneapolis. A few days after caucus, I walked into a coffee shop and see the leadership of We Love Minneapolis along with people from all of Minneapolis meeting. So
we've got coordinating. I think that's
yeah.
probably legal for PACs to coordinate with each other.
If it had been a campaign manager, but yeah, just like, okay.
Also,
all of you people.
Taylor, I bet Joe Rad and Mayor Fry never talk anymore. So there could never be coordinating going on between these
they don't
various
all.
PACs.
Yeah.
Their 12-year friendship is, I'm sure, just gone now.
So I have no outrage left in my body anymore. I have no outrage left But like, seems like pretty outrageous that the mayor has 2 PACs either founded or run by people very close to him who've been on his previous campaigns. We should be more outraged. They're going to spend millions of dollars trying to get him reelected to a 3rd term, trying to get these useless council challengers elected. We should be outraged.
Well, it's like, get in office so I can stop seeing you. Like, we knew people were associated with all of Minneapolis because they were holding their candidate meetings in public too. So it's like, what are you doing? You got $600,000 budget. Go rent a little office somewhere. Stop like blatantly meeting in front of our faces. Like, go hide away in shame. I don't know.
Get out of Taylor's neighborhood.
Thank you.
So if you don't have $20,000 to drop into a PAC, you're not going to be well served. If you vote for these candidates, that's who's going to be well served. I've been thinking lame duck Jacob Fry. So he said this is his last term. I can't imagine what other elected office he would move to next. And so he's not going to be accountable to voters anytime soon that I can foresee. The people he is accountable to are the people who are funding his campaign right now, because they're going to be the same people who are funding his post-mayoral career afterwards. And maybe we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he really dodged accountability with help from his friends on the Charter Commission in the 2021 election. And I feel like as the further we get from the Minneapolis Police Department, which he had solo executive control of at that time, murdering George Floyd, it's just getting less and less likely that he will ever face any repercussions for it. But there's still a chance with this election for voters to repudiate him and his actions, not just in 2020, but also since then.
Can we go around? So I heard from Ward 11, I think Jamison Whiting did well on caucus night. Who else do we know that did well on caucus night?
Jason Chavez
did well on caucus night. I heard multiple reports from Ward 12 that Becca Thompson in her speech announced that she was an actress, and then like 30 seconds later started crying.
Right.
So I had multiple people tell me that one.
I also heard she was crying.
Okay. I assume Maureen did fine in that one. That's a funny one.
I mean, I'm curious to know what happened in Ward 2. As far as how many uncommitted or uncommitted delegates or people who are maybe committed to go for no endorsement ended up coming out of that.
In Ward 9, Taylor, maybe you can help me with this. I want to talk about the firefighter Marcus Jones, who has apparently been eligible to vote since 2016, but
the lifelong DFLer.
The lifelong, these so-called lifelong DFLer who has not voted in a single election despite being eligible to vote since 2016. And it also was the one who plagiarized some website content from a different candidate.
The whole plagiarizing thing was kind of funny because Jameson and Marcus actually know each other. They both played in like opposing teams in high school. So yeah, he, plagiarized, took his caucus form, which, I mean, this keeps happening with all these candidates. Like Brian Strahan's website briefly linked to Elizabeth Schaefer's caucus form. So it's like, must be the same network of web designers. But then, after this, we pointed out this plagiarizing thing. John, you and I both have Marcus Jones's web designer in our DMs. Like he DM'd me when like Marcus Jones made a Twitter account, and he's like, "Look who just joined the conversation."
I think he just replied to me. I don't know that he's gotten into my DMs. He did reply to me, I think, though.
Yeah, he's only, and I'm just like, oh, okay. And then, yeah.
Imagine what it says about you as a candidate that you joined Twitter in 2025.
So that's fine, Jason. I'm not going to judge anyone for having avoided Twitter for most of their life. I will judge them for not voting in some of the most consequential elections of maybe the country's history. Our slow roll, or maybe fast roll into fascism here. Just not having any opinion one way or the other, not wanting to weigh in. Just like, there's a lot of candidates who seem like somebody is forcing them to run for office. Like they never would have occurred to them we even have a city council, and yet they are running for city council because someone suggested to them, a very, very misguided person suggested maybe they should run, and like, oh, okay, I will. And I don't think that that's a recipe for a good council member.
Yeah, a lot of the ones moving, like Brian Strahan in Ward 1, that, also doesn't live there. And it's just like, why? What is your, you have no involvement in politics. What are you doing? Just feels like you just pluck somebody.
Yeah, I guess at least this year in Ward 9, they found somebody who lived in the ward first and then tried to fill them in on being a candidate after. So it's sort of the reverse Mickey Moore this time.
So Fate had a good night, probably has the most delegates coming out of caucus night. What I have seen indicates that Jacob Fry is probably in the number 2 position, with Koski and Davis, or Davis and Koski in that order, rounding out the top 4. I would have hoped to see Davis and Koski do better, and the Fate people are excited. There's been some talk on social media about Fate is doing so much better than Davis and Koski, the only one with a shot. And my moderate brain is like, oh, hold on there. Yep. Let us not discard 2 very electable candidates before we get past the DFL process here. But Taylor, what do you have any thoughts on the matter?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the same thing where I just feel like the people who participate in the caucus process are not necessarily going to be indicative at all of the general population of how the general voters are. And especially I think the caucus process is really, really, I don't want to say made for DSA and the coalition that Fate has, but really good for turning people out. But I worry, in the general election, historically, the wards that vote for mayor, 7, 11, 13, Southwest. And I feel like Fate is a hard sell to Southwest because the DSA label is just poison to them. So, I do think if we can mobilize a lot of young renters, first time voters, just get those numbers out. Maybe you can overcome Southwest, but I don't know. I think he has a good shot at an endorsement, but I just worry about the general.
Yeah, the DFL endorsement process brings out people who are super, super excited about their candidate, and that describes Omar Fate, but maybe it doesn't translate necessarily as well as it might for Davis and Koski in the general election. I would expect them to do much better than they have in this process, in other words. So should we do the quiz now? Should we do the listener call-in quiz? Should I put that link out to Blue Sky? Excuse me while I post this link. Call in now to the Wedge live podcast for a live quiz with John, Jason, and Taylor, and I'm going to capitalize call in now just to communicate urgency here. Wow. Call in now.
Wow, really mobilizing.
Okay. I'm posting. If you could repost me there on Blue Sky, let's see if we can get anyone to call in.
Okay.
It'd be very sad if I had to cut this part out of the episode because no one wanted to be with us. And I hope people aren't confused because it's a link. You're not actually calling in.
I'm trying here. Please.
I'm going to put it out in all caps. We're waiting for your call. Still nothing. Oh, this could be a bust here.
We're trying.
Let's see, anything else that we need to get through? So my advice to delegates, Jason, you are a ward delegate. I'm a ward delegate. We are both city alternates. Taylor, you're a delegate, right?
That's not true. I'm a city delegate.
Oh, you're a city delegate.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm a ward delegate, city alternate.
So people are going to start calling us and everyone else who became a delegate, and you need to pick up your phone. You don't do the thing where you let it go to voicemail and never listen to the voicemail. You got to pick it up and talk, because often it will be a candidate for mayor or city council, and you get to tell them what is important to you, And maybe that, in my case, that's streets and transportation. But whatever issue is important to you, this is your time to get in their ear and tell them what they should be doing to win you over. I can't believe nobody's calling in.
Conrad said it's broken. I tried to enter.
Really? It's broken?
That's what Conrad said.
Well, it's time to just put your phone number out there, John.
I should. Oh, geez. Everyone's sending me error messages, screenshots of error messages.
This is going to be the most engaging content you've ever published. All of us other devices trying to make this link work.
Conrad is trying to call me. I don't know what I'm supposed to...
Tell him to call me, and I'll do it. We will take Conrad from my phone into my microphone. That's what we'll do.
This might be some sort of conflict of interest. He was in charge of putting on these caucuses.
Hello, Conrad. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? I am signaling in. We're on a signal chat. Did you know that?
Well, of course, Conrad. I answered the phone.
Yeah.
So you're live on the air, Conrad, and so this is a little quiz, and there's going to be a prize. So are you ready? It's a local politics quiz, themed on the DFL process.
Well, I hope the prize can get a PCR refund. That'd be great.
So what the prize is that you a dinner with Jason, and Jason will pay, and you can arrange those details via DM later. That's between you and him, but that's the prize.
Okay. I'm ready for the quiz.
Okay. So which of these Minneapolis election year stories is not true? Okay, so which story did not happen? That's what we're answering here.
There's been a lot that's happened, so this might be a hard question.
That's true. And I want you to do this Who Wants to Be a Millionaire style, where you run through your thinking on each one. Okay?
Okay, very good.
So, number one, the story could be true, maybe it's not. Ward 8 candidate Josh Bassay drives a Mustang with license plate Bassay, and that's spelled Baasay.
Okay.
That's number one. Here's number two. John Edwards, ran into Ward 7 candidate Elizabeth Schaefer biking home on the new Hennepin bike lane, and we said hi, and we had a nice chat.
Okay.
Number three, Ward 7 candidate Paula Chesley was late to a caucus site because council member Katie Cashman would not let her in the building.
Okay.
And number four, Precinct 10-1 went so long, people started taking milk from the Whittier Elementary lunchroom to keep themselves going.
Interesting. So two of those I've heard because, of course, I listened to some of the Wedge Live podcasts, as many of our avid listeners know. I remember that you said Elizabeth Schaefer was actually biking, I think you said, and had her bike helmet on. So thank you for always wearing a bike helmet. And so I know that one is true. I also heard something about entering the building or something. I don't have any way to verify that, but I know I've heard something along that. So I'll say the one that I think your question is, which one is false or something?
Yeah, which story did not happen?
Okay. I would say the one that's probably most likely to be false would be the milk cartons, because I'd imagine that they'd have, those things locked up probably.
Okay, Jason, tell Conrad what the results are here.
So, Conrad, John played a trick on you by including 4 true stories. Every single one of those was reported to happen at caucus night this past week.
Jason says every one of them was true, actually. That was a trick question. That was a cruel trick.
Okay, well...
They were all true.
I guess I don't lock my refrigerator.
Okay.
Milk jacking.
I have been places where there's refrigerators that are locked, so I know that can be a thing.
Well, Conrad, thank you for calling in via Signal.
So there's no lunch then? Everybody's a loser?
That is true. I'm sorry. It was a trick question. There was no way for you to win this.
Okay, well, very good. Well, I hope to get some tacos with people in the future, and thank you for having me on the podcast.
Well, thank you, Conrad, and we will talk to you later. That's Minneapolis DFL chair Conrad Zbikowski. There we go. So it worked out. We were able to do our quiz.
I love that we put Conrad through all of that just to tell him that John made a trick quiz.
Thanks to Conrad for calling in, and now we're going to call out. I figured we would call Josh Martin just out of the blue. We haven't told him that we're calling, and see if he's available to take our caucus questions, our convention questions. Let's see if he's available. Are you ready, Taylor and Jason?
Ready.
Yeah.
Let's see if he picks up. He's often busy with his spreadsheets. Maybe he's not there.
Hello? Who is this?
Josh, this is John from the Wedge Live podcast. I'm here with Taylor and Jason. Are you available to take some burning caucus and convention questions?
I mean, I was eating dinner, but I guess I can take a few minutes to answer some questions.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. What should people expect at the ward conventions coming up, Josh?
Broad question, but all of the people who were elected as delegates or alternates on caucus night to their ward convention will attend the ward convention, and those conventions will decide who receives the DFL endorsement in each of the city council races.
There's lots of talk about poorly executed ballots on Blue Sky and, ranked choice. With regard to ranked choice voting, which is the system we use in Minneapolis, what does it mean to have a well-executed ballot in the 2025 mayoral election?
I mean, it depends on what your goals are. If you're someone who would like to see our incumbent Mayor Jacob Fry no longer in office, I would say that a well-executed ballot ranks the three major mayoral challengers, Omar Fata, Dwayne Davis, and Emily Koski, in whatever the preferred order is of that voter. And that will maximize the chances that one of them will be able to overtake Jacob Fry and become the next mayor of Minneapolis. I suppose if you're a Fry voter, your strategy is a little different. But
so if I ranked my top candidate in the first two slots, and then for the third slot, I put a hex on Jacob Fry, would that be a poorly executed ballot?
I would say that would be a poorly executed ballot. So if you rank the same candidate more than once, that doesn't accomplish anything. Your second choice may as well be blank. I'm also not aware of a mechanism under Minneapolis ranked choice voting to place a hex on a candidate. So I don't know how you would accomplish that, but I don't think that would count as a vote either.
Would voting for Jazz Hampton be a poorly executed ballot?
Well, I will at least say Jazz Hampton is a candidate who is running for mayor who is not Jacob Fry. So that would be expressing your opinion that Jazz Hampton should be mayor. So that's a little better than the example you just gave me. Personally, I would say that it is not likely, from what I have seen at this point, that Jazz is likely to finish in the top four. So I think that one might get dropped out pretty quickly. But I mean, if somebody feels really strongly about Jazz Hampton, we have ranked choice voting for a reason. So I would at least make sure to use your other two rankings for other mayoral challengers.
You okay if we do a conference call here, Josh? I'm gonna call Brenda.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let's see if she picks up. We're not calling Brenda. That would be a poorly executed ballot if
Did you just call Brenda and hang up on her?
I did. I hung up on Brenda. We're not calling Brenda. So you're famously, Josh, treasurer for about 17 different campaigns.
Only 3.
In the city of Minneapolis. How did are you at liberty to act as a spokesperson for those campaigns and say how they did?
I'm not officially serving as a spokesperson for any of my campaigns. What I will say is that any data we have at this point is pretty anecdotal from reports from various precinct caucuses and may not be reflective of what's going on. Speaking generally, I would say that in the mayoral race, it did seem that there is a lot of energy for a future mayor who is someone other than Jacob Fry. I think that my candidate, Omar Fatah, did fairly well, but it's hard to say. There's a lot of time between now and the July city convention. And it's even harder to tell with the ward races because a lot of times there isn't sub-caucusing in those races. So a lot of that will just be based on what campaigns can figure out internally from looking at lists of delegates. So I think there might be some close races in some of the council races. I would encourage people not to take anything for granted and to make sure to turn out to the ward and city conventions. And with city in particular, it seemed like uncommitted was one of the largest groups. So I think there's a lot of chance for things to change between now and July.
So Jason has this theory that the closer we get to the election, we're going to have a better idea how things are going. But I, on the other hand, think we will still have no idea what's happening the day before the election.
I mean, I think both could be true. Like, we could still have a better idea of what we know than what we know now, but we could still be a long way from knowing what's actually going to happen.
I have this sinking feeling that Jacob Fry is going to be reelected. I have a sinking feeling.
Yeah. That's my fear. And my fear is also that it'll be a more moderate council in combination with that.
Well, there I disagree with you, Taylor. I don't think the council is going to be changed up because I think Soren is very likely to win in Ward 8. I think the strongest candidate in Ward 5 appears to be Eutrophic Burnett, who will be on the progressive side, I think. That's who she's aligned with. There is a chance, I would say Schaefer is favored in 7, probably. That's going to be tough. So the progressives could lose that. But if you trade 8 and 7, you end up with the same numbers we've got right now. It might even, by that standard, you would have a more progressive council because Soren is to the left by a pretty big degree compared to Katie Cashman, I would say.
I'm worried about 10, too.
Oh, Taylor, you're at Ward 10. You've joined Jason's Ward 10 naysayer club.
Yeah, just a little worried. Not as badly as 7. 7 is precincts like East Isles had just more than twice the number of people looking to be a ward delegate. Just turned out there.
I think what this goes to show again, John, though, is I would encourage people not to take things for granted. I think a lot of people before caucus night made some very confident predictions about what would happen in caucus night, what would happen in the general election. And it goes to show that sometimes things can surprise you. So if there's a candidate that people feel very strongly about, get involved, donate, knock some doors.
Yeah.
Did you want to give any plugs for fundraising for the Minneapolis DFL before you go, Josh?
The Minneapolis DFL would always appreciate more donations. I will say things are no longer as dire as they once were. Certainly, we always need donations. The caucuses do cost money. We receive limited to none funding from the state party to put these on, so it's up to Minneapolis DFL to fundraise for these and make sure the caucuses and conventions continue to happen.
There's a lot of talk about the dynamic at City Hall and making government work better and having people work together. I just don't think we're going to have the council flip. I think Elliot Payne is going to be council president next year. I just think that's the case, and he's going to have a progressive majority. And we're either going to have a different mayor who works differently, or we're going to have the same mayor and it's going to be the same dynamic. So if people are wanting a change, it's going to come on the mayor side. We're going to have a progressive council, I think. I'm not saying people shouldn't be out there working for candidates like Katie Cashman or Chugtai or Eutrophic Burnett in Ward 5. There's a lot of candidates that need your help and support, but if the dynamic is going to change, it's going to come on the mayor's side.
We'll take your help in Ward 8, too. We shouldn't take any race for granted.
I'm taking Soren Stevenson for granted. Did you hear that Josh Bassett drives a Mustang with the license plate Bassett?
I have heard this.
Yeah. Do we have any other grand conclusions from caucus night before we depart?
I feel like we always end up saying this, but it's not an easy process. It's caucus night is for nerds and sickos, and you can't just expect to be done in an hour. Sometimes maybe by a miracle that happens, but you really have to plan for it to be a battle of attrition, and you have to be pretty committed to stick through it all. I got home after 11 p.m. on caucus night. I stayed for a little bit and ended up chatting with a reporter from NPR and helping our convener, Sam Doughton, clean up a little bit, kind of do some sweeps to make sure that nothing was getting left behind. So yeah, it's, people in Minnesota really have a love-hate relationship with caucuses as a function. So I think, it's important to be involved, but know what you're getting into.
And just shared my screen. That's what Taylor put into the document.
It said funny photo of Josh. I don't know what you did to it here.
Right. That is the photo we will be using for your call-in, Josh.
Oh, great.
It's terrifying.
It'll be a telephone emoji next to your head because we called you. We interrupted.
That's right.
Dinner.
That's right. You called me. Yep.
Yep, right during dinner.
Okay. This was a very odd episode of the Wedge Live podcast. I don't know how I'm going to edit it together. We had so many phone calls to get through, technical difficulties. I feel like we were all very low energy.
We were also going to go over the convention schedule.
Yeah, Josh, give us the convention schedule.
Yep.
Sure. So there's a lot of conventions coming up. The earliest are in just under 2 weeks from now. Saturday, April 26th, there will be 3 ward conventions that day. Ward 1, Ward 6, and Ward 13. On Saturday, May 3rd, there will be Ward 2, Ward 4, and Ward 12. Sunday, May 4th, there will be Ward 5 and Ward 8. Saturday, May 10th, will be Ward 3 and Ward 7. Saturday, May 31st is the last of the ward conventions with wards 9, 10, and 11. And then Saturday, July 19th and Sunday, July 20th will be the city convention, mayor on the first day, and park board and BET on the second day.
And Taylor, you and I are alternates of the city convention, which means we get to turn the alternate section into like a temporary studio for the podcast. We will hopefully be live streaming the whole day.
Interview everybody.
Yeah.
All the alternates. Alternate jail.
We could force the mayoral candidates to come to us and do like 5-minute interviews.
I mean, you really shouldn't be an alternate. It's kind of like, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We should force
And I would like to remind people that if they're attending their local ward convention, we have committed to have people on the ground at each convention.
That's correct.
So, if you're a fan of the podcast, feel free to stop by and talk to us. Let us know what you think of the job we're doing. This is right before our annual performance reviews, so customer compliments go a long way for us getting raises.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's true. All of my employees are up due for review, and raises or demotions.
Oh shit.
Okay, this has been the Wedge Live podcast. I'm your host, John Edwards. Thank you, Taylor Darlene, Jason Garcia, Josh Martin. You can go back to your dinner. Thank you for listening.
This is a real thing. Real thing.
None of you have the balls to stop this. Stop this.
I've got plenty of time. I have nothing else going on today.
We're in the Wedge neighborhood right now.